Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining me on this edition of the Light the W podcast. It is your favorite Seattle Mariners podcast where we cover all things Mariners baseball. If this is your first time joining us on the show or you're a returner, make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already on YouTube, or you can find us at Light the W, a Seattle Mariners podcast. Or if you want to listen to the audio version, go to Spotify or your preferred podcast platform, where I would love it if you could leave a 5-star review and follow on those platforms. It supports the show and the channel greatly, and it's greatly appreciated. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram at LightTheWPod. And finally, without further ado, let's get into today's episode.
The pitch from Acevedo. Swung on the line, down the left field line for a base hit. Fly ball, gap, right center field. And double him up at second.
Luke is going back to the 1-8 track. Get out the right, Brennan Buster, grandma. It is grand salami time.
Polanco sent it in the right, and will send Seattle to the American League Championship Series for the first time in 24 years.
Happy holidays, everyone, and welcome to episode 106 of the Light the W podcast. As you can see, Jeff is back again. We are talking Rob Refsnyder. We are talking Eugenio Suarez, and we will talk some Mariners ownership as we celebrate the holidays here starting tomorrow. Jeff, how we doing?
So happy to be here. Happy to have December baseball.
Always happy to talk baseball, no matter the month. And December baseball talk is always fun. You know, hopeful. I call these the hopeful months, especially for Mariners fans.
The last decade, the hope has been in Adam Frazier and, not to spoil it, AJ Pollock and some other great names. Colton Wong. Wong, number one.
Colton Wong. Yeah. And the Mariners signed, hopefully not another one of those guys in Rob Refsnyder, but there's the potential that he will get bitten by the retirement home that Seattle is for right-handed hitters.
Don't talk about Jason Bay like that.
You know, Jason.
I know you have a relationship with Jason Bay. It's hilarious.
Jason Bay is a legend. You know, Jason Bay was not the Rob Refsnyders of the world. Jason Bay was better than that.
He was.
Rob Refsnyder is the AJ Pollocks of the world,
okay,
if you want to get into comparisons.
So when the Refsnyder news broke yesterday, you were recording. Yeah. I was just living life. And the joke I made right away was new Donovan Solano just broke.
Yes.
I do think he's a lot better than that.
He definitely is. I agree.
And I love that we're not in a position where we have to rely on him. We could talk about this later, but he's realistically our 8th to 10th most important bat of the year.
Yeah.
And after thinking about it for a night, the thing that I kept coming back to was Mitch Garver's at-bats as a DH or as a pinch hitter, which they weren't as putrid as I thought they were. In 136, he had 136 plate appearances as a DH or a pinch hitter. He had a 697 OPS as a DH. I can't believe that. Like, when Mitch Garver got to bat, were we ever like, oh, good, it's time for Mitch Garver to hit against lefties? He had a 697 OPS as a DH, had a 515 OPS as a pinch hitter. That's pretty putrid. And I got really excited. I also thought about Leody Taveras' at-bats for the Mariners. He played 50 games for us. That's so many. So if Refsnyder is taking away those at-bats, those opportunities, I love that for this Mariners club.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, I think that the hole that we saw, other than the, big bat that we kind of obviously need, especially in the infield, was in right field, and a guy that could hit left-handed pitching. Now, can zone, there's no sure thing that he can't, but I also think that they're already taking bets at so many spots that they sort of had to have an option that could shore up that smaller hole. And Refsnyder does that. You mentioned it. Garver, Tavares, even Solano's at-bats are
Yeah.
all going to be taken over by this guy. And Garver against lefties, 107 WRC plus last year. Rob Refsnyder was a 159. That's a big difference. So he's going to be an upgrade, assuming he is productive. Now, that's an assumption you can make or not want to make. But if the Mariners are making this signing, and you see the way Boston fans are reacting, it seems like he very likely is going to be a good signing. And even if he doesn't provide that 159 WRC plus that he did last year against lefties, he still brings a lot of clubhouse value. And if you can get a 120, that's still a massive upgrade over Garver.
My concerns are age 35 year in Seattle as a right-handed bat. And looking at his splits, I know you touched on it yesterday, or whenever this drops, last episode. I was like, oh, I like his splits. I like this stuff. The one that concerned me the most was as a DH, he had an 823 OPS. Awesome. He was not a good pinch hitter for the Red Sox. I know pinch hitting is hard. But his most elite bat came when he was playing right field. He one-dotted. He had a 1.001 OPS. That value of playing in the field and getting to bat, being in the swing of a game, I don't know if he's going to get that luxury with us very often.
Yeah, I don't disagree necessarily. I do think that mostly he will be DHing. And I think that is something worthy of looking at, worthy of talking about. You talked about it, a lot better in right field than anywhere else, at least looking at last year. Let's go a year back and look too. Because sometimes stats like that can be a little bit finicky.
They can be deceptive over 1 year, of course.
Let's see. Just wanted to, yeah. And same thing the year before. OPS over 1,100 as in right field and about 800 as a DH. So that is something definitely worthy of talking about, worthy of looking at. The other thing I do want to look at is that he was in Fenway Park. That is a hitter's park, especially for right-handed hitters. And if you want to look at his stats home and away, and you want to simply just look at WRC plus, it was a 136 at home and a 117 away. So he's better at home, and OPS wise, it's an 861 at home versus an 809 away. Not a large difference, but a big enough difference that it could be something worthy of talking about. That said, if you want to go even deeper into it, away from home against lefties, he was a 170 WRC plus with an OPS over 1,000. And at home versus lefties, he was worse than that, a 150 WRC plus and an OPS below 900. So I don't think there's a whole lot there necessarily, but T-Mobile Park, it's the hardest ballpark to hit in. And we've seen what it has done to right-handed hitters in the past, especially aging ones that are on the wrong side of 30.
Baseball seasons are super long. This is not breaking news. We play guys in April and May that aren't going to sniff the team in August, and that's fine. But I was thinking a lot about our left-handed versus a left-handed pitcher in April and May. And we'll talk about third base in a moment, but we're thinking about having Williamson play, Rob Refsnyder play, Robles play against these lefties. That lineup it makes me a little nervous. Yes, you got Randy and Julio and Cal hitting righty off of them, and that's great. But then it goes to Naylor and JP are going to be in there, whether it's lefty or not. It's a tight lineup, and I think the idea that Refsnyder comes in and cleans that up, I like it. It's a good first step. Not sure if it's the answer long term.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I don't think it is, but I think to me it's a sign that they are noticing stuff like that, because in years past it's been like fans are noticing that, all the media people are like, they have holes facing left-handed pitching or on the base paths or defensively, and it's almost as if they're ignoring them. So to me, this is a signal more than anything that they're aware of those and that they want to address those. And also, I will say, to me, it allows more runway for a Brendan Donovan type of acquisition, because now you have a guy that can sort of platoon there as well, if assuming he continues to not be able to hit lefties. because he's been a guy that has struggled mightily against lefties throughout his career. And if the Mariners were to go trade for him, he would be moving around the diamond and would even DH a little bit. And Refsnyder is a guy that would allow for protecting him a little bit as well. So I think it's a type of move that it doesn't raise your ceiling a whole lot, which that in of itself, you want to raise your ceiling, you want to make your team overall better, but this raises your floor, in my opinion, because it shores up a little bit of a hole that you had, like you mentioned. And I think that even if it is just for 3 months of the season, 2-3 months of the season, that makes your team better. April and May matter. How many times do you have a loss in April and May that comes down to you not winning the division or not making the playoffs? You look at 2023, you look at 2024, both those years, you had 2 or 3 wins, maybe less, that caused you to not make it to the playoffs, and those wins could have come in April and May.
It happens far too often. So the Mariners' last 2 signings are Refsnyder, and can you help me with the catcher's name?
Kisner, something like that.
Those 2 signings in a vacuum, take it or leave it for the offensive production. It makes me nervous about this team's trajectory for Cal. That sounds like a lot of Cal playing catcher to me.
Yeah.
A lot. And this is our World Baseball Classic catching for the month of March in some high leverage games. Maybe that's great for Cal. Maybe that's a lot of wear and tear on his body. And I am getting a teensy bit nervous about our backup catcher and DH allocation.
Yeah. I mean, you talked about Garver earlier, and Garver was not good by any means, but he at least could stand back there in that bat, had some pop every once in a while, and he was above average against lefties. And if you look at WRC plus, I think he was like a 107 against lefties last year. So he provided even just that teensiest bit of value. But even he, people were complaining that even he wasn't good enough. You've traded Ford. Who is the next guy up if Kisner gets hurt? Because
I'm
I
seeing
don't think
rumors
there's a
of
guy on
Tom
your list
Murphy
right
on a minor league deal. And I'm like, oh.
And Tom Murphy's how old now?
I had to say, that dude's been toast for a bit.
Exactly. So it is a very reasonable concern, I think, to have, because if Cal, goes down for even a week, and he has a little finger thing where he needs a couple of days off, you're starting Andrew Kisner, which should be a AAA bat.
That 10-day IL trip is going to hurt.
Yeah.
For the catching position.
And we've seen him sort of tail off at the end of seasons already when he's catching this number of games, and it feels like he's going to catch more as he's getting older and older.
I want him to catch fewer. And I like the Refsnyder for the Naylor 10-day IL. Hurts a little bit less now, but that Cal IL trip is going to sting. It's going to hurt this team.
Yeah. And it hasn't happened yet in his career. So, I mean, knock on wood that it doesn't happen. But if it were to, you put yourself in a really bad position, even beyond losing your best hitter.
Okay.
So I do think backup catcher, they've said they want to address it more. I wouldn't be surprised if they have some extra money at the end of this offseason if they try and throw a little bit more. But as it stands right now, it's definitely a concern.
Yeah, you want to talk about third base?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Every time I come on here, there's a third baseman to talk about. I can't believe that Bregman story even existed. It's unacceptable.
It's ridiculous.
And now I'm on here defending Geno and your slanderous texts against our hometown hero.
All right. Let me start off by saying that home run in Game 5, the Grand Slam in Game 5 of the ALCS made the trade worth it, of course.
Okay.
And
it's nice to hear you
one of
admit
the
on
best
air.
moments. It's one of the best moments in Mariners history, and it would probably be the best if they had made the World Series and if you take out all the extra fluff from 95.
Yep.
It's the best moment from this last year, which is one of the best seasons, if not the best season in Mariners history. And it was done by a guy that was absolutely atrocious as a Mariner this last year.
He was not good as a Mariner this year. No defense for that. One of my main concerns with third base for the Seattle Mariners, the two that are my biggest concern, well, Brendan Donovan aside, let's pause on that for a moment. Ben Williamson to me is a quadruple A player, the Mike Carp of this generation, where his elite third base production defensively is awesome, and he deserves to play for that alone. But that's not going to happen in today's baseball. It's not the priority that it used to be. We don't need him to bunt as the 9 hitter. We need more production than that from our third base position. For Colt Emerson, I've been thinking about Julio's rookie year a lot. I've been thinking about, and I'm not calling him the best player of his generation, but Mike Trout's rookie year, where he got sent down at the very end of spring training, and then he knocked the doors off in AAA for Salt Lake, I think, or whatever LA's. No, it is Salt Lake. And he came up April 28th for his first start and came second in MVP that year to Miguel Cabrera, and arguably should have been one. He was the best player in the American League, and he missed a month of the season in AAA. Julio came up and was below average. Is that kind? Can I say below average for a month and a half? Average? What do you want to call it?
I would say below average.
Okay.
He might have been bad.
And then won AL Rookie of the Year easily, and was excellent. It went 2020. Obviously, he's done that every year. He's a great player. Letting him go through those lumps. What kind of player is Colt Emerson? I don't know. I know he's 19 years old, and the idea of rushing him makes me nervous. So my biggest arguments for re-signing Geno are not Geno related, and I understand the problem behind that. I don't want to give Geno long-term money. I don't want to give Geno anything like that. But if the market has truly cooled on Eugenio Suarez, the only third baseman we've ever had in our 2 playoff runs in the last 20 years, and he's willing to play third base, play DH, play whatever, I would love to have him back. I think that qualifying offer was a little rich. The agents love calling it something better than what it is. I'm not paying him for good vibes alone, but even a down year for Geno is going to include 25 plus home runs. It's not going to be nothing. Is that more valuable than what Ben Williamson gives you? That's my big question.
Is it more valuable? I think the question for me is, how much are you paying Geno? Because if you're telling me you can spend that money that you're spending on Geno elsewhere, say a bullpen arm and a bat, and then you can run with Williamson and Emerson at some point, because Williamson does provide you defensive value, which this infield very badly needs, especially adding a guy like Ferrer, who is a ground ball pitcher, out of the bullpen. They need guys that are going to be able to get outs and make outs happen defensively. I think back to Williamson making a play in Texas, where it's an over-the-shoulder leaping sort of catch. And correct me if I'm wrong, I don't remember exactly what it was, but I think there were runners on. I think it probably saved a run. And even so, it ended an inning that potentially you'd have no idea what that could have gone into. A little bloop single, and you get a little, knock through the middle, and all of a sudden it's runners on the corners with whoever up, and all they need is a little knock to drive a run in. So that defensive value to me might equal, if not be greater as a whole, than the 25 home runs and 35% strikeout rate that Geno Suarez would run with the Mariners. But it all comes down to cash for me.
Yeah. The Refsnyder edition does really play into my Geno stuff too, because we need Geno to be taking DH at bats, and those seem to have disappeared yesterday. And now that we're hashing this out, I'm like, oh my gosh, Ben Williamson is going to be our third baseman for April. I'm certain of that, unless that Brendan Donovan trade happens tomorrow.
But even if that happens, I think that Williamson's still probably on the roster, because Donovan he'd be a guy that would play some second, he would play some third. He's about average, if not slightly below at both those positions. and then would play some DH for you. He's a guy that would be like a utility type. You combine him and Refsnyder, and it's basically Dylan Moore, but bad at defense and a better hitter.
And then ideally for me, it might feel old school. I want Colt Emerson raking in Tacoma. That league, it produces hitting. It's not a pitcher's league by any means. Those numbers might look inflated, but you're telling me if he could one dot from until Memorial Day and then come up and win Rookie of the Year for the Mariners, like that sounds great. Go build that confidence up. Go face AAA pitching.
Yeah, but I hate to bring the guy up, but that's what you did with a guy named Jared Kelenic, and we saw how that worked.
The more we learn about Jared Kelenic and his demeanor and who he was as a person, I think the
100%.
more we can toss that aside. I'll never forget when Julio signed his contract. Kelenic's response was like, wait, I'm better than him. I'll never forget that. He was visibly shaken and didn't understand why Julio got that contract over him. You have no words, speechless.
Yeah. I mean, you're exactly right. Kelenic was one of my favorite prospects coming up, but I mean, the mental game passed him by.
I own a
to say
Kelenic
the
jersey.
least.
I believed.
Yep.
It's harder to exchange those than you would think.
Really?
Yeah, you think you could just go in, they could just change the name, but no, they don't like that.
You can't get Robles put on top of the 10?
I could duct tape. I've seen.
Oh, I
love that move.
It's like the Russell Wilson jerseys. E-Man Warrior instead.
Oh my gosh, that dude. All right, it's not a Seahawks podcast.
It's so good though. Looking at Geno though, I wanna touch on what he did against left-handed pitching last year, because to me the crux of it is what I would want Geno for, alongside the good vibes and however many home runs, 25, 30 home runs that he'd hit, is I would want him to be a guy that hits left-handed pitching if I'm bringing in a right-handed bat.
Okay.
And last year, he did not do that. He hit 164, 261, 453, WRC plus below 100.
This has to be just with the Mariners, right? Or is this total?
No, this is overall.
Oh,
He had
all right.
13 home runs against lefties, 36 against righties.
That's so bad. He had 36 against righties?
Yeah,
Okay,
and he struck
never
out
mind.
31% of the time against lefties.
All right, never mind. You're right. We got to move on from Geno. That's too bad.
I think it's not going to happen unless I would pay Geno like 1 year, $5 million, but I think someone will pay him more.
What was that Polanco deal last year? 1 for 8.5?
It was like 1 for I think 7 with incentives, and then obviously the club option for like, I don't even remember, 11, something like that, 10.
I didn't ask you to prepare for this. Who are the most important Mariners hitters for this team? We got, so to me, Julio's number 1. You can say Cal, it's fine. Cal is 2. 1 and 2, Julio and Cal. Third most important, it's either Randy or Naylor. 3 and 4.
Naylor.
Yeah. It's funny, I think a lot about this. We played 12 playoff games, not even 10% of the equivalent of a regular season. Randy was so frustrating. And I have this feeling in my head of like, is that a guy? I'm like, wait, he was amazing this regular season. He did so good, played well for our team. No reason to be frustrated with him. And then after that, we're kind of in this like, we don't have any more studs after that, right? I'm not missing anybody. Can JP have one of his good years, or is he going to have a bad year? Canzone, Robles, Williamson, Colt, Cole. I'm glad we brought in Refsnyder, but as far as like, if those 4 guys do their job, our team is in a good spot.
Yeah.
Everyone's saying like, we need one more bat. We need one more bat. I'm like,
that's why we need another bat.
Okay.
Is because to me, like, you have 4 guys that you feel like you can trust, but to me, multiple of those guys are pretty damn streaky, especially Randy.
Yeah.
And to me, I think you need one more guy, especially when you're rolling with like, 4 right now? It'd be 5 guys that you're like, I don't know what I'm going to get from these guys. If you're rolling with 4 instead of 5, that I'm like, I could get a 115 WRC plus, or I could get a 90 WRC plus. And I wouldn't
Yeah.
be shocked on either end of that spectrum. I think you need another guy that you can be like, yeah, pencil him in for a 115 or better WRC plus in this lineup.
Agreed. I don't know if we need that stuff. Like, Ketel Marte is out. Bregman, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
All right. I want to talk about ownership and then we can get out of here. Nothing
Okay.
more fun than talking about money right before Christmas. This is a little nerdy. I'm going to throw that out there for the audience.
Okay.
August
You like
19th,
nerdy?
2016, First Avenue Entertainment Company and John Stanton specifically own 90% of the Seattle Mariners. Nintendo, the previous owner, still owns approximately 10%. You and I both know families that are part of the ownership group. Players like King Griffey Jr. joined in 2021. These people are widely considered part of that 90% ownership group, which would be a silent partner. So the hypothesis that John Stanton pulls all the strings is pretty much true. John Stanton isn't really answering to anyone as far as this goes. Yes, there's a board. Yes, there are other owners. But as far as dollars in pockets and one person ultimately responsible, it is John Stanton for this team. So for a decade, we've wondered why Stanton doesn't spend. He's been a frugal owner, to say the least. We've asked for spending at trade deadlines. We've asked for spending in the offseason, money on facilities. We share a spring training complex with the Padres. Anything to save a dollar. The fans say spend more money and the team will make more money. That seems obvious, right? And I was like, okay, we actually did that this year. What did that look like for the ownership group? Playoff revenue in baseball works as the following. For the wild card series, all of that money that the home team makes goes into a pool for the players. This is part of the collective bargaining agreement. So Cleveland hosted Detroit. Every dollar made in those 3 games went to the players of the 30 Major League Baseball teams. The Cleveland Guardians made 0 money in the playoffs this year, aside from merchandise and like food and drink and stuff like that. But as far as as far as tickets go, that didn't go to them. In the division series, the first 3 games, those also go to the player pool. So Seattle hosted games 1 and 2. That money did not go to ownership for the Seattle Mariners. Game 1 in Detroit didn't go to the Detroit owners, but game 4 did, and game 5 for the Mariners went to ownership group. ALCS, it actually was a little bit harder to find this information, but it sounded like the first 4 games went to the pool, and then after that, or the first 3 games, then after that, it pocketed to the ownership group. So the Mariners pocketed game 4 and 5, the Blue Jays pocketed 6 and 7. The World Series, every dime went to ownership, is what it sounds like, which is crazy and does explain a lot of what the Dodgers are doing. Okay, so how much money did John Stanton make on Game 5 ALDS, Game 4 ALCS, and Game 5 ALCS? The rough estimation is that each of those games pocketed in ticket sales alone between $10 and $15 million per game. That does not include food sale, beer sale, merchandise. You think the Mariners fans went all out on those AL West division series shirts, hats? You bet. I see them everywhere. That money is going to ownership. That does not include a September series on a Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday against the Colorado Rockies at home that had sold out crowds. That's a thing that we haven't had in maybe since 2001, where September baseball games were selling out. That money goes to ownership. I think that the lowest estimation you could possibly give is that $30 million went into John Stanton's pocket. I think that number is closer to 50 to 60 million that he received 90% of just for us making the playoffs in Stanton's pocket now. When fans have been screaming to spend more money, I honestly was like, I might not know what I'm talking about. I'm not Pablo Torre. I'm not going to go find out. I'm not going to go to the stuff. This took a day of research and looking up different stuff. Winning gets you more money in baseball, a lot. So when we're asking them to spend a reasonable amount, like go get Naylor and Geno at the deadline, this is what fans are screaming for. And I think Stanton might become a little addicted to that extra cash in the pocket.
Yeah. And this isn't even accounting for, think about all the fans you've created during that stretch. It's holiday season right now. Josh Naylor jerseys have got to be off the racks.
You can't find
Mariners
them.
merchandise has to be off the racks. It's ridiculous.
I live 6 miles from the Mariners store. I've been in 3 times to get a Naylor jersey. It's not happening.
That's crazy.
I will get one eventually.
Yeah.
So a really fun, nerdy expose from me for the last 6 minutes there on your podcast. Thank you for letting me get on my platform. I could not believe all of this stuff.
That's remarkable.
I will say, I'm just a dude with the internet. Let's remember that. But a lot of this stuff was really easy to find, and
Yeah.
it was breathtaking. I couldn't believe it. Think about 2023 when we sold Seawald and we missed the playoffs by that's the year the Texas won the World Series. We were just as good as Texas that year. If our team goes to the World Series instead, shouldn't be going negative. What I'm saying overall is my hypothesis is that this playoff run may actually make a difference in Seattle with the way the new revenue stream works.
I mean, I hope so. The thing is for me is like obviously I don't live in Seattle currently because I'm in school in California, but when I come here, I count the number of Mariners hats that I just see around when I'm going out and just doing whatever. And it's a whole lot more than I saw 2 years ago, a year ago, 3 years ago.
We would love to
It's
be a
not
baseball
just
town.
ownership. It is a baseball town, and this fan base buys into it, and they're making a lot of damn money because of that.
Yep.
And I think you're right that I really hope that you are right, that John Stanton and ownership sees this and that they become more willing to spend because they see how this city has bought in and the money that they are making. Because if they do, this team could be damn good.
Yep, really good.
Really freaking good.
Well, that was the main stuff I had, Mahal.
Yeah, I think that's what we got for today. Another good episode. Christmas Eve is tomorrow. 2 years ago on Christmas Eve, we received Mitch Garver for Christmas. Hopefully we receive something better this holiday.
Jerry, always on that phone, man. Always on that phone.
But hopefully Santa Jerry will get us something. Maybe a Brendan Donovan will be under our tree. But till next week, or until the next move happens, signing off, it's Mahal. Thank you, Jeff, for joining.
Go Ems.
As always, follow at LightTheW Pod on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And make sure you leave a like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow and leave a 5-star review on Spotify. As always, go Emps and peace.